Are you looking for a video where somebody plans the week out for you with pretty much the cheapest food that you can possibly get? Are you really struggling with your budget? Whether you're on your own or whether you're feeding a family, this video is for you because this is exactly what I'm going to do with you this week. Hello and welcome. My name is Suzanne and this is Money Made Magic, where we look at everything to do with budgeting, frugal living and saving you a little bit of money. I was just sitting chilling with having spent my £10 coffee budget on, I think I had a panini and some lemonade up in the town. And I was just sitting thinking, what am I going to do for this week's food? Now, I'm pretty fortunate. I am frugal and I am trying to save money because I'm trying to make a house move and I'm trying to pay down some debt. But I know a lot of you are really struggling financially, and this is where I think my channel can come in and help. So this week's video, I thought, could be about how we actually make the best of the things we can buy in the shops if we need to buy them and what we've got at home. So I'd just been to the local fruit and veg person, and if you have watched my videos before, you will know that I quite like buying my fruit and veg from the local fruit and veg person because it tends to be a little bit cheaper than the supermarkets and it tastes so good. So I'd been there and I'd bought some peppers, some courgettes, some onions and some mushrooms, and I'd spent about £3 something. I will put that price up for you in a moment. And I was sitting having my lemonade thinking, what am I going to get for the rest of the week? And then I remembered I've actually got things in the freezer and in the cupboards. And so I decided I was going to come home and make this video, and I was going to make it about how I have only spent £3 something this week. And as I say, I will find that receipt and put that cost up, and how I actually managed to do that, how I actually managed to thread together a menu plan for the week using what I've got in the freezer. Now, in a couple of previous videos, I'd been and got some yellow sticker foods. So I'd actually got some things that I'd frozen. So I've got 2 packs of sausages in the freezer that I can take out and make for meals. I've also got tins of tuna, and I've also got tins of corned beef. I've got about 2/3 of a bag of potatoes left. I've got a bag of rice and a bag of pasta. I may need to buy some bread. That's probably the only thing that I'll need to buy. However, I do have some things that will make breakfasts, so I don't necessarily have to have bread for breakfasts. I'll probably only need bread for my lunches. So let's pop down to my kitchen and have a look and see what I'm going to use to make these meals, and then I'll sit and do a meal plan with you, and then we'll look at the meals that I made for the week. Let's go. So here's the deal. You can see over here I've got the produce that I brought from the fruit and veg man. I've got courgettes, 2 courgettes, 2 onions, a bag of mushrooms, and there's about 5 peppers in there. I will tell you exactly how much that lot was. That cost me £3.88 in the fruit and veg store. The brown bagged items are £1 for a bag, so the onions must have been 88p for those 2 red onions, and they're quite a good size as well. So I think I've done quite well. The rest of it is stuff that I've got in, so I'll just turn the camera a little bit so you can see everything. And I'm going to talk you through what I think I can do, because I was sat in that cafe thinking I might have to go and buy chicken and I might have to go and buy mince and stuff, and they're pricey, and I've got the money, but I'm just trying to do things as cheap as I can, and that's mainly because I want to help people. So this is what I've got, and I'll tell you where it's come from, and I'll explain why I think it's a good idea to do this. So I've got half a block of cheese. I'm going to try not to buy any more cheese this week. I'm going to make that do. What I'm going to use the cheese for will be things like, perhaps I'll put it in a sandwich, perhaps I won't. Perhaps I'll grate it and put it on top of a you know, a bolognese sauce or something. I've got 2 packs of sausages, both of which were reduced to different prices. They're both the same. The cheapest one having been £1.12. So they're frozen. Now what I can do with those is I can defrost them and I can make things like sausage casseroles, sausage bake. You may have seen me do a sausage bake. If you haven't seen that, I will link that at the end. I could just make sausage and mash. I've got some potatoes actually which are in the fridge. I didn't get those out. Maybe I should go and get them. So there they are. I've got about a third, 2/3 of a bag of potatoes. I reckon I've got about 3 meals in there with that. So I could do just sausage and mash and some, you know, fried onions or something. I've got a little tin of baked beans in there I could have with that, mushy peas. Or I could do, like I said, I could do sausage casserole, sausage bake, those kinds of things. And the peppers and the mushrooms will go brilliantly for any of those meals. I've got a tin of corned beef. So I have made a corned beef hash before. Again, I can link that at the end of the video. But I may, instead of, you know, sort of making a corned beef hash this time, it is corned beef hash, but it's a different kind of corned beef hash where I fry it in the pan. I may do that, serve that either with beans or peas. That's an option for a meal. I've got pasta and rice, so I can serve anything to do with my sausage casserole or what have you. I can do that served with a pasta or a rice. And I can make some pasta sauce, and here's what I can do. With the chopped tomatoes and half of an onion and some garlic, I can pop that in the blender and make a lovely tomatoey pasta sauce. Or I could do something similar with the mushroom soup, what would make a really nice pasta sauce, especially if I added lots of mushrooms with that. That would be lovely. I could serve any of those things with some garlic bread. So I've got about 3 or 4 slices of garlic bread left, which were on a deal. So they were £1.23. I've got some tuna, so I could do a tuna pasta bake with the pasta. So I've got lots of options. So I'm going to sit down and make a meal plan and let you see what I plan for, and I'll cost some things up. The other thing I've got for breakfast is I've got a couple of croissants left for one morning, and I've got 2 scones left, which will do for breakfast. And I've got probably 2 or 3 slices of bread in that little bread pack there, and some crisps. So the only thing I may need to buy would be some bread, but I think I've probably got enough there to last me if I don't have a sandwich for my lunch. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you think I should just have this food or whether I should go get some bread. Be a challenge to not get the bread, wouldn't it? Be interesting. I've got other things in the fridge and the freezer. I have got my butter in the freezer if I need that. I've got things like dairy cheese and those kinds of things, spreads, and I've got some biscuits. So I'm not stuck for anything like that. But I'm talking here about main meals and how we can actually plan for those. So what I'm going to do with all that is I'm going to make a meal plan and I'm going to cost it up, and then we'll see how much that would have cost me to buy. But so far this week I've only spent £3.88, and I think I've done pretty well. Don't you? Let me know in the comments what you think. Well, I'm just having a look here at the meal plan. Bear with me. So if I look down, it's because I'm reading off my notes, because I've written everything down. I will share an image with you on the screen once I've got everything drawn out, but I've just had a quick recce in my head. I think I will need to buy some bread, but I'm going to go for the really cheap supermarket bread. You can get it for about 45p, can't you, in some of the cheapest supermarkets. So let me just check now. So that I think the lunches are going to be things like a cheese sandwich. Now if I'm clever enough and I make something like a tuna pasta bake, which I've got on the list for one of the meals, I can have some of that in for lunches. So I can double up for lunches with that rather than just having the boring old cheese sandwich every day. And actually I may need some of the cheese to use for the pasta bake. So I will need to be careful with that cheese, that's on a ration. For breakfast, I've got 2 plain scones. I can have one of those in the morning and I can have another one the following morning. And I've got 2 croissants, so that's 4 breakfasts I've got. I don't eat a lot of breakfast, I don't know about you. I tend to have something very small. There is a little bit of bread left that I can use, and also if I'm going to buy a loaf of bread, then I have got enough for toast. And I did say I've got butter and I've got some dairy cheese to have as a spread. I think I've got a wee bit of jam left as well, so I'm doing okay with that. So the main deal is these main meals. So let me just tell you about these main meals. I'm going to do corned beef hash, so I'll do the one that I do in the pan, and I'll probably show you how to do that on a recipe. I use potatoes with that, and I usually serve that with a tin of baked beans, which I have got. And then that'll serve me for a couple of days. I've got 2 packs of sausages there. I've got 16 sausages altogether. I don't think I'll need all of that. I think I'll probably be able to save 1 pack for another day. So I've got, let's say, 8 sausages. That's going to serve me 3 meals, and I'll use some of those vegetables, and I'll make a sausage, it's not a casserole. I'm going to use the mushroom soup to make the sauce for that. I think that's a nice alternative to the tomatoey sauces that you get. So I'm going to use the mushroom soup and put lots of mushrooms in that, as well as some courgettes and peppers, and make it nice and creamy, and some garlic, and I will serve that with some rice, and that will make 3 meals. So what I'll probably do is have it when it's fresh one night, reheat one the second night, and pop one in the freezer for later in the week. So far we've got 5 meals, which is good. We're cooking on gas here, folks. And then I'm going to do a tuna pasta bake. And to make the tuna pasta bake, I'm going to use the can of chopped tomatoes that I've got, and half of one of those onions and some garlic, and put that into the blender and make a pasta sauce. It makes a lovely pasta sauce. I think you add a little bit of sugar as well, just to sweeten it. Sounds a bit weird, but it works. And then use some of the tuna and some of the pasta and bake that all in the oven with some of the cheese. And that's going to make me probably at least 2 main meals and maybe a couple of lunches. We will see. If I've got potatoes left, which I probably will have, even though I've used them for the corned beef hash, I could always do something like use one of them at lunchtime for a jacket potato or something like that. And I've got plenty of cans of tuna. I could have a tuna jacket, or I could have a tuna sandwich if I buy some bread, rather than using all the cheese. So I think I've got it cracked for this week. Let me share the menu plan with you. So here's our menu plan, showing the breakfasts, the lunches, and the evening meals. I hope you like this new format that I've done. I've done it on the computer and made it all nice and neat, not like previously when I've done it just written out. And just to make you aware, you can actually download this template, and the link should be in the description box below. So just like I've previously said, I'm going to make that sausage casserole type meal. I'm going to do tuna pasta bake and the corned beef hash. And then the lunches and the breakfasts will sort of be plain simple: scones, croissants, toast, and that kind of thing. I'm not sort of extravagant with those kinds of things at all. Up next, I'm going to start to show you how I make that corned beef hash, and then I'll take you through the rest of the week to show you the meals that I did make. So the first meal I'm going to do this week, out of the £3.88 spend, if you like, is this version of corned beef hash that's different to the one I've done before, which is the one I do with the potatoes and the corned beef mashed up and fried in the pan. So I've peeled and washed and halved some potatoes, which I'm going to boil. I've got my tin of corned beef there ready, which was a really cheap little one, and a small tin of baked beans, which I'll serve with it. So here goes. So my next job is just to mash all of those steamed potatoes until they're nice and soft and fluffy. And then I've just added that full tin of corned beef in that. I'm just going to chop that slightly, just to get it into small chunks, and then it gets mashed into the potatoes. So you end up with this sort of mashed potato with corned beef mashed into it. And then at this stage you could add salt and pepper if you wanted to. I don't like either in my food, So the next thing is I'm going to warm some oil in a pan, and when that oil's nice and hot, I'm going to fry this. Gosh, it's it feels so unhealthy, but it's lovely, I promise. So there we are, it's sizzling in the pan. It'd probably serve 3 to 4 people, that, so if you've got a family, it's a great meal. I usually serve it with baked beans. You could serve it with peas or anything really. You could serve it with vegetables and have some gravy with it. It's basically corned beef pie filling without the pastry, I think. But it's gorgeous fried. Wait till you see it finished when it's all browned on all sides. It only takes a few minutes to start browning. So you can see the brown bits there. As I turn it, it goes brown on all sides. And you can have it as brown or as not brown as you. You can even serve it without browning it if you like. But I like it with a bit of brown on it. My beans are nearly ready. So I've done them in the microwave. So I'm nearly ready to serve. Now then, that's me done with the corned beef, potatoes and the beans. And I know you might think that's a bit of a strange meal, but honestly, it was a staple diet of mine from being a child. And I absolutely love it. Bon appetit. So here I am going to do this sausage meal. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to call it a casserole or what. I was going to do it in the slow cooker, but I just didn't get a chance this morning to put it on. So I'm going to do it in the pan on the hob. Ingredients are sausages, a courgette, some peppers, an onion, some garlic. I'm probably going to use half a bag of mushrooms and some mushroom soup. And I have got something to flavour it, which I thought that looked quite interesting. White wine flavoured stock. It's a bit of a treat. It wasn't on a deal or anything like that. And I just thought, you know what, it's just going to give this dish a little bit more of a kick. And I did have some money in my budget. I think it was about £1.90 and you get 4 little stock pots for that. It's not cheap, I know, but this is about being frugal and not being cheap. So this is about making a very plain meal taste really tasty. So I'm just heating a spot of oil in the pan there. And when that oil is nice and hot, I'm going to start browning those sausages. And then I'll be chopping the veg and adding all the ingredients so that they brown nicely. So I've thrown in some garlic and some onion, and I'm going to get those nicely browned with the sausage before I add the peppers, the courgettes and the mushrooms, and then I'll brown those further before adding the sauce. And I've added the mushrooms, the courgettes and the peppers, and that will all just sort of gradually cook over the hob for about 5 to 10 minutes. I think I'll keep stirring it till everything softens and starts to brown. Now that looks like it's ready to have the sauce poured into it. So the veggies are starting to cook really well. The onions have gone a little bit sticky, and that's how I like them. So we'll put the sauce in. There it is, sizzling away. Got the mushroom soup in it, and it's got that white wine flavouring. And I tell you now, it's delightful because I've had a taste. So I'm just letting that simmer just really for a couple of minutes because the veg and everything and the meat is cooked. And I just want to cook through the liquid. And I'm just waiting for my rice to do, which is just finishing off in the microwave. So that's done, and the rice is done also. So I'm just going to show you how much you get. I can portion this up. I did that. I think you would easily get 4 portions out of that. If you're feeding a family, you've served that with some rice, which I'm going to do. I reckon you get 4 portions out of that. So you'd feed yourself, your partner and 2 kids, or yourself and your parents or whoever, or yourself for 4 portions, and you can freeze that if you want to. Cost a couple of quid. Well, the sausages weren't £2, they were £1.70 something. 50p for the courgette, 50p for the serving of mushrooms, probably about 30p for the peppers because I put a couple in. What else have I got? 75p for the can of soup, I think it was. Maybe 50p for the stock cube, and that's it. Bit of garlic, that's all. I'm gonna guess around £4 for the whole pan. So if you're portioning that up between 4 people, that's £1 a serving.
the rice is negligible because you get so much in a packet of rice, don't you, and it just bulks out. And that's it, all served up in a bowl, ready to eat. Delicious.
So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you liked those 2 meals that I demonstrated there from this week. I thought they were really nice. I really enjoyed them. I love using that fresh veg. I did make one other thing which ended up being a vegetable curry. I ended up not making the tuna pasta. I just didn't really fancy that. So I made a vegetable curry just in the pan, which I haven't shown. Maybe I'll do that in another recipe at another time. And I served it with onion bhajis and a chicken burger that I already had in the freezer. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. Please let me know in the comments what you've enjoyed. Please let me know if there's anything that you haven't enjoyed and anything that you would like me to do differently. That would help. And it's been absolutely lovely having you with me, and I will see you again next time. Bye.